Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we'll be installing the String Butler onto a Gibson SG 2016 traditional model. Here's the packaging that the String Butler was shipped in. Now it's pretty plain packaging. I ordered it from Amazon, and to be honest, if I saw this in a retail store, I don't know if it would have actually caught my attention. I had recently heard about the String Butler through YouTube. I came across a couple of videos on it. The thing that I could not find was how it looked on a Gibson SG. Everyone was showing it off on a Les Paul, and the Les Paul has the signature, and I wanted to see where it fell with the crown on it. Now, when I was looking at the options, they came in multiple colors. They came in the chrome, the gold, and the black, and I wasn't satisfied with those options, and I kept looking around a little bit, and I was able to come across a clear option, and that's what I ended up ordering. Here's what is inside the packaging. And this is the little doohickey. Now it seems like a really simple mechanic. It's got these little moving things right here, and yeah, let's see how this all fits together. Now, I wasn't sure how it was going to look. Like I said, I couldn't find any pictures of it on a Gibson SG or anything with the holly leaf emblem. So I took the options of how to mount it upside down on the middle tuning pegs and right side up on the bottom tuning pegs, and just kind of compared them for a little bit just to see what they look like. I ended up going with the right side up on the bottom tuning pegs. It just, to me, it seemed like it obstructed the least amount of the headstock, and with the clear option, actually looks not too bad from a distance now that it's finished. Here's a little closer shot of what I was comparing exactly. Now let's get started on this project. I started off by loosening the outside strings and removing them. I needed to get them completely out of the way because I have to actually undo the screw that is part of the tuning peg that holds it in place. Now, instead of taking off the last 4 strings, what I did is I loosened them up enough to shift them around, but I didn't want to remove them. Quite a few sources on the internet were saying that it was good to leave those strings on, so you have a point of reference when you're trying to line up the String Butler. So here I am loosening those up. Now, removing the tuning peg nut is pretty simple. Needed to let out a little slack there. And now once you get it into place, you just kind of shimmy it around, see if you can get it to line up. And right here you can already tell that those strings are spot on straight. Now, this Gibson was not having tuning issues to start with. It stayed in tune relatively fine. I play weekly at church, and I'm there for about an hour before church starts and then an hour through the service. So in approximately over approximately 2 hours, I tune at the very beginning of the day after the first song, because by then the guitar is typically warmed up, and tune again at the end of practicing right before service, and then typically during service I don't have to check tuning, at least I haven't. Now that we have our String Butler secured in place, I can replace the strings. Now the strings were in relatively decent condition. I try to change these strings out about once every month to 6 weeks because of how often I play this guitar. Now I do what's called an overwrap on the tailpiece. I pass the strings through the tailpiece backwards, and I pull them up and over the tailpiece. Here I am inspecting the frets, making sure that there's no kind of gunk on them. Every once in a while I take steel wool to the frets. I don't do it every single time because I don't want to wear them down prematurely. But, you know, when they're kind of gross, I'll just take some steel wool, some 3/0, 4/0 steel wool, kind of rub it on the frets a little bit. I'm using mineral oil here to condition the fretboard. Now, a lot of people are obsessed with different kind of oils. Lemon oil, there's the Dunlop solution. Mineral oil is available over the counter at Walmart for like $4 or $5 for that huge bottle, and it will last you forever. Mineral oil is in the pharmacy section, and I guess it's used as a laxative, but a lot of sources I find on the internet seem to say that mineral oil is probably the best. Vegetable oil will go rancid over time, or it's possible that it can go rancid and you end up with a funny smell. And then some of the other oils, not to say that they're bad, but this is probably the cheapest and most effective option. Here I am just making sure that the sides and the edges of the fretboard that are along the frets are cleaned out. Now, after the conditioner sat for a little bit, I wipe it off, and here we go with the type of strings that I use. I use Ernie balls. This set is a 10 through 46. I tend to switch between the 10 through 46 and the 9 through 42, just kind of depending on how I'm feeling. I've more recently been using 10 through 46, and will probably stay with these for quite a while into the future. And if I ever do decide to change it up, it definitely will not be 11s. 11s have never been my thing at all. Now, to secure the tailpiece, what I do is I always start off with stringing the 6th and 1st string first, and just to make sure that I got the tailpiece nice and secure on the bottom of the guitar, and then I string the rest of the strings. Now, a lot of people do this method where they pull it through and then they loop over one time and then they turn it. When I pull my string through, I leave just a little bit of slack, about enough to get 2 coils underneath the string. And so if you look at the tuning peg, it's like a scalloped out, I want to say. And so as you tighten the strings, the 2 winds below it will work their way up and lock the string in place. I guess it's a little bit different than what other people do, but it's just as effective if you are not using locking tuning pegs. Now, the tuning pegs I have on here, I have mentioned in previous video, are Kluson Revolutions. They're 19:1 ratio, and I chose those because they had the exact same footprint as the original Gibson Deluxe. I didn't want to have to see an extra screw hole sticking out or anything like that. Now I'm just making sure that it lines up on that string butler there. There's a little movable piece on those pins, and making sure that those strings are in that channel is important, so that way you reduce the amount of friction that's going through the headstock. Now, this blanket that I'm using here, this blanket was actually made for me by a friend of mine way back. I want to say about 2009 is probably accurate. When I was living in Winnemucca, Nevada. If you're not familiar with where Winnemucca is, It's this little town in the middle of nowhere in between Elko, Nevada and Reno. And if you don't know where Elko is the halfway point between Reno and Salt Lake City. So, yeah, Winnemucca is the halfway point between Elko and Reno, and Elko is the halfway point between Reno and Salt Lake City, right along Interstate 80. Yeah, I don't know if she ever watches my videos. I'm still friends with her on Facebook, but if she ever does watch the videos, hey, I still have this blanket, and I use it. I leave it in my car. It's just kind of like my car blanket. I use it for different things, and I particularly have liked using it with my Gibson when I'm working on it. Something about a Gibson against a pink background that I think really makes it pop. Maybe it's just considering the case that they come in and the pink plush lining. It just maybe it just kind of feels along the same vein. At church, I use a Polytune clip-on head tuner that I just put on the headstock, and I go by a visual reference. As you see here, this is my cell phone, and I'm just having my cell phone play the tone of the string, and I'm tuning to the acoustic tone of the string. Now in this close-up, you can see this the String Butler kind of stands out when you're looking at it this close and in this much detail. From a distance, if I've got it on my stand and I'm standing back about 6-10 feet, it's really hard to notice. You can see the pins. The pins kind of bling out, but it's not bad looking at all, and it definitely it doesn't really mess with the little holly leaf. It doesn't really distort that at all, so I'm pretty satisfied with the appearance. Now I've just installed the String Butler, so let's go ahead and throw out a couple of licks. Now this is just acoustic. I'm actually not jacked into an amp. I've got my GoPro on a clamp, and the clamp is clamped onto the bottom horn of my SG. So that is actually all the natural sound of the SG coming up. Here's a couple of photos here just to show you the final result. Like I said, it doesn't look too bad. Well, I'm going to give it about a week before I really comment on how it's working. I don't notice an immediate difference. Perhaps that's because it really had no problems tuning anyways. It's just kind of, I saw the product and I thought I'd give it a shot. I mean, I play this guitar in front of people regularly, so I mean, it's a good idea to make sure that I am in tune, and just little things like this could possibly help. So, hey everybody, thank you so much for choosing my channel. If you'd like to subscribe, please click up here. If you would like to watch my latest guitar video, please click over here. If you would like to watch my latest piano practice video, please click here. And if you would like to watch my latest outdoor/mountain bike video, please click here. You have a wonderful day, and thanks for watching.